Welcome to Christy Krug, as well as all of you. Thanks for coming to Ghost Town Poetry Open Mic. We're very excited because one of the things that we've been doing in 2016 is trying to catch up on some people who we feel ought to have had a feature. You know, people who are really regulars to the series that for one reason or another, just we never had them up here as a feature. And tonight, not only are we correcting that, we're also, both of the readers that you're going to hear from later on have new books. So we're very excited about that. And please say hello to Toni.
Hey.
Hi, Toni.
Really happy to see you all tonight, and I'm really excited about tonight. I think that you're going to enjoy yourselves, and we really are going to hear some new work, so it should be a great evening. We're pretty full in here, so if you have, is there anybody that has an empty seat near them other than this? Other than that?
One up
Okay,
here.
there's one in the back there.
An empty seat.
Right next to Rhonda. Okay, great.
Offering his lap.
Who is? Her? I might come sit on Herb's lap, I don't know. You never know about me, Herb. There are some folding chairs in the back as well, so grab those if you need to. Hello. Hi. There you go. Okay, handing it back to Chris.
Okay, yes, I'm Christopher Luna. I might not have said that. Here is the happy hour. You might notice it says happy hour 4 to 6, but once a month for Ghost Town Poetry Open Mic, that is extended. So for the entire evening, you can get these specials. Please treat them well. There are a lot more of us than there are of them, so be nice to them. And the other, it might seem like a small thing, but it's an important thing to the city of Vancouver. You can bring any food and drink that you want back and forth through those doors at the back of the room, but not around the front. You cannot take a glass of wine and walk those couple of steps between Angst and Niche, and that's, it's something that will cause them some trouble. So if you don't want our venue to have trouble, just make sure you go through the doors at the back. And for tonight, it's kind of treacherous at the back of the room, so if you need to use the restroom, the best bet would be to go into Niche, and they have a handicapped restroom there, so plenty of room for you to go and do what you need to do there, okay? And I think that's all for our, just as far as like business type stuff.
Really?
Yeah, anything else you could think
Any
of?
more business?
No, there'll be more business later, plenty of business.
All right, I'll see you all a bit.
Yes. So one of our features tonight is Loranger, who, like me, is a Lawrence Ferlinghetti fan. And so what I've been doing for the last few months is reading from this little but powerful book by Ferlinghetti called Poetry as Insurgent Art. And there's a couple of really long poems about poetry in there, and I thought, well, that would be too long to read the whole thing, so I've been sort of splitting it up. So tonight I'm going to read the ending, since we've been working on this for a little while, of a poem called, the title poem, Poetry as Insurgent Art. And so I dedicate this to you. I think the first night that I started to read from this, you weren't here, but it's okay, because he's already in your system, so. All right, where will I start? If you would be a great poet, associate with thinking poets. They're hard to find. Thinking poetry need not be sans ecstasy. Read the epic novelists, the prophetic poets, the great storytellers, the great minds. Haunt bookstores. What's on your mind? What do you have in mind? Open your mouth and stop mumbling. Don't be so open-minded that your brains fall out. Become a new mind and make it newer. Sweep away the cobwebs. Cultivate dissidence and critical thinking. First thought may be worst thought. Pursue the white whale, but don't harpoon it. Catch its song instead. Allow yourself dazzling flights of outrageous imagination. Exceed everyone's great expectations and direst prophecies. If you would be a great poet, be the conscience of the race. Resist much, obey less. Challenge capitalism masquerading as democracy. Challenge all political creeds, including radical populism and hooligan socialism. Consider Sufism, especially its tantric ecstasy, in which poetry on the tongue leads to the heart and so to the soul. Glory in the pessimism of the intellect and the optimism of the will. Don't blow bubbles of despair. Poetry is seeds and buds, not twigs. Smoke it to get high. Generate collective joy in the face of collective gloom. Secretly liberate any being you see in a cage. Liberate have-nots and enraged despots. Sound a barbarous yawp over the roofs of the world. Caw! The great caw! Sow your poems with the salt of the earth. Stand up for the stupid and crazy. See eternity in the eyes of animals. See eternity not the other night, but tonight. Express the inexpressible. Don't be too arcane for the man in the street. Be a songbird, not a parrot. Be a canary in the coal mine. A dead canary is not just an ornithological problem. Be also a rooster, waking up the world. Write short poems in the voice of birds. Birdsong is not made by machines. Give your poem wings to fly to the treetops. Don't pander, especially not to audiences, readers, editors, or publishers. Don't cater to the middle mind of America, nor to consumer society. Be a poet, not a huckster. Don't put down the scholastics who say a poem should have wholeness, harmony, radiance, truth, beauty, goodness. Go to sea in ships, or work near water and paddle your own boat. Why listen to critics who have not themselves written great masterpieces? Don't produce poetry by the pound. Don't write reruns of virtual realities. Be a wolf in the sheepfold of silence. Don't slip on the banana peel of nihilism, even while listening to the roar of nothingness. Fill the dark abyss that yawns behind every face, every life, every nation. Make a new poem out of every experience and overcome the myopia of the present moment. Catch instants, every second a heartbeat. Stash your cell phone and be here now. Look for the permanent in the evanescent and fleeting. Make permanent waves and not just on the heads of stylish women. Don't fiddle with your mustache in hopeless cellars writing incomprehensible drivel. Why live in the shadows? Get yourself a seat in the sunboat. Don't let them tell you poetry is bullshit. Don't let them tell you poetry is for the birds. Have a good laugh at those who tell you poets are misfits or potential terrorists and a danger to the state. Don't let them tell you poetry is a neurosis that some people never outgrow. Laugh at those who tell you poetry is all written by the Holy Ghost and you're just a ghostwriter. Don't ever believe poetry is irrelevant in dark times. Don't let them tell you poets are parasiti. Laugh at those who tell you poetry is paid for by social insecurity. Don't believe them when they tell you nobody buys the penny stock of poetry in the stock market of our casino culture. Unless you have an urge to sing, don't open your mouth. If you have nothing to say, don't say it. Don't lecture like this. Don't say don't. Mock those who tell you you're living in a dream world. Dream your own reality. Camp out on the shores of reality. Laugh at those who tell you, go prose, young man, go prose. Come out of your closet. It's dark in there. Dare to be a non-violent, poetic guerrilla, an anti-hero. Temper your most intemperate voice with compassion. Make new wine out of the grapes of wrath. Remember that men and women are infinitely ecstatic, infinitely suffering beings. Raise the blinds, throw open your shuttered windows, raise the roof, unscrew the locks from the doors, but don't throw away the screws. Don't destroy the world unless you have something better to replace it. Challenge Nemesis, the vengeful goddess, the invidious goddess. Be committed to something outside yourself. Be passionate about it. If you would snatch fame from the flames, where is your burning bow? Where are your arrows of desire? Where your wit on fire? When the poet lets down his pants, his ars poetica should be evident, giving rise to lyric erections. The master class starts wars, the lower classes fight them. Governments lie. The voice of the government is often not the voice of the people. Speak up, act out, silence is complicity. Be the gadfly of the state and also its firefly. And if you have 2 loaves of bread, do as the Greeks did. Sell one, and with the coin of the realm, buy sunflowers. Wake up, the world's on fire. Have a nice day. O you gatherer of the fine ash of poetry, ash of the too white flame of poetry, consider those who have burned before you. In the so white fire, crucible of Keats and Campana, Bruno and Sappho, Rimbaud and Poe and Corso, and Shelley burning on the beach at Viareggio. And now in the night, in the general conflagration, the white light still consuming us, small clowns with our little tapers held to the flame. Lawrence Prose. so Toni is bringing some chairs this way. I think one of them is for her, but there's an additional one. Also, those of you who might be inclined to take a folding chair, there's a lot of room here to put some out if you're feeling shy about that. Okay, so for tonight's Ghost Town Poetry Open Mic, we are going to begin with Mr. Ian Caton. Come on down, Ian.
Now we're starting with Tiffany. So we already
No.
started Tiffany.
Not my
Tiffany's
turn.
the show tonight, you know what I'm saying?
You're it now, Ian, from now on.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Ian. Yes.
This is a book that hasn't been published yet. It's called Oktoberfest. They're poems that were written October, November, December of 2013. It's a fucking crazy year. It's the year I got fired from my last job. And on September 16th of 2013, there was a shooting at the Navy shipyard. Left 12 people dead. The killer used an AR-15, and they were all civilians aged 46 to 73. So because there weren't any youth, I don't think it really made any national news. It wasn't that big of a deal. It was just another mass shooting. Just another 12 people dead, 13 including the shooter himself. And so that kind of weighed on what I was writing. So these are all tankas. I'm not going to read them all. I'll just read some. Please don't applaud between pieces. Yellow sunflowers stand tall against the fence, entangled in one another against weathered wood, dark green stalks. The orange petals stand out amongst the yellow, but matched against faded stain on the fence and bleached wood lattice. I see a series of poems in these sunflowers, towering over black-eyed Susan's August's bounty. Their green leaves are palms held out like handicaps, appealing for help, while old stray cat strolls on by down the sidewalk. Sunflowers stare their young black eyes with grief up at gray clouds in southwest Washington, expecting rain. As summer comes to an end, the sunflowers watch the children go back and forth to school, see who's in their class this year. Watching my daughter take the cross and shoot the ball at practice. Summer's over. It's finally time for soccer. She walks around barefoot while splashing through rain puddles in early September, hunting for salamanders. When the kids are outside making all that noise, I don't worry, I don't check. It's when the noise stops. One kid's down, broke his thumb while crashing on his bicycle, and now all the kids have gone home. You can't say Jake loved water, but he was curious about it. After a shower, he would go in and splash the puddles left behind. Jake was named after the X-Files. Jake Mulder Kelly would often solve mysteries with his brother Bruno Scully Kelly. Jake was curious about this thing called a shower we use to clean ourselves. Why didn't we just lick our paws at night? Jake loved curling himself around my head at night, sharing my pillow, laughing at the thought of me sneezing because of pet dander. Jake had fluid in his tummy and wouldn't eat a thing. To even that can of tuna, he would turn up his nose. Driving home from church at night with the kids in the back, the full harvest moon lighting our way. This bright moon I see tonight high up in the sky is the same you see 300 miles away. Might as well be 3,000 miles away. The moon sings to me her sorrowful songs as she watches man relive his miseries over and over once more again. Is this thing we call a soul and illusion perpetuated by man's instincts for companionship and love? Wondered the man in the moon. Do ghosts live on the moon, haunting the night skies with howling winds? My son would rather practice the game of chess than watch the full moon disappear behind the clouds. Disappear behind the clouds. The harvest moon is indifferent to the suffering going on in Vancouver, Washington, where plots are hatching to ship coal all across the world. The moon is as cold as an ice storm in a cemetery, its terrifying beauty capitalizing on our nightmares, a scream in a silent film. The full moon I see has a pale glow, but that same moon you see is pumpkin orange, obscured by smoke from the wildfires. There's so much death everywhere. Baby birds strewn about. The end of summer is a sort of death too. Dog looks nervous. Dog looks suspicious. He knows it's going to be his fault. Whatever it was the cat did, it seems it's always his fault. Baby bird feathers scattered about the house, upstairs, downstairs. The corpse quietly lays, while the cat is nowhere to be found. I know why no one is talking about the 12 murdered this last week in Washington, D.C., because summer is coming to an end too. If string theory is correct, the moon, the full moon, high up in the sky, in an alternate universe. Wait, let me read that again, please. If string theory is correct, there is a full moon high up in the sky in an alternate universe that's made of actual cheese. When Andy Warhol met Pablo Picasso at Lily's Gourmet and Catering, it was decided to name all of their sandwiches after dead artists. Pablo Picasso was infinitely famous in his lifetime. There's a story about him paying for his meal with his autograph. As I listened to my daughter practicing spelling words with her mother, I realized we all need to slow down. Thanks.
Thanks, Ian. A couple of, a little bit more business that occurred to me. We have this beautiful art all around, so if you're sitting near one of the pieces of art, just be aware of it and make sure that you don't, lean against it or harm it in any way during the show. And then the other thing is if you, and I do the same thing, we all do it, there's no judgment in this. Now would be a good time to take out your phone, and if you don't know how to turn it off yet, talk to somebody next to you, they could probably help you figure it out. And turn it off until the reading is over, or at least until the break. I know on mine I have to hold it down for a little while. That's what I'm doing right now.
That was me.
Okay. No, I'm not calling anybody out. Like I said, it could happen to anybody. But you're in big trouble, Michelle. Okay, so please say hello. Please say hello now to our friend Bruce Hall.
Thank you. This is one I wrote in Christopher's class, and it starts on the 19th of this month, so there's still time to sign up. Do some good writing in there, and you'd be amazed what you'll do when you pay yourself to write, and so you'll do it.
Yes.
This one really doesn't have a title. And now we are young, and now we are old, and now we hate what we see in the mirror, and now we are brilliant. And now we are dull. And now we are dull. And now we are fast. And now we fall down. And now it is today and tomorrow and a day. And we ride the donkey to the railroad station. And dynamite. And now we say dynamite and dream of the good dynamite can do. And we go to Sunday school and eat the snacks. And they taste mighty. And Lord, they taste mighty good, and I was hungry. And the Lord saved me. And the devil stepped in and invented politics. And the people formed groups. And the groupies of the first group led a cheer, ooh la la. And the groupies of the second group cheered back, ooh, ooh, ooh. And the polls were open, and the polls were closed, and the polls were stolen and changed, and the polls were stolen back and changed into a manifesto. And the groups armed themselves, and the weapon of choice was baloney. And the purest form of politics was born, and the devil cried tears of joy until it was dark. And the moon came out, and the moon said, I will not hide in the dark anymore. And the sun came out, and the sun said, no one will notice you now. And ZZ Top played Cheap Sunglasses. And Frank Zappa arose from the dead and played Dynamo Hum and Dental Floss. And then someone played the blues, and all was right with the world again.
Thank you. And next, I'm only introducing her this way so you know there's more than one person you can talk to. Roxanne Bash is another person that's taking that Monday evening class if you want to ask her afterwards if it's worth your time and money. Roxanne Bash.
And Karen's over there too. You can ask a bunch of us about that class. Tiffany's taking it. Okay, I'm going to tip this up maybe.
Yep. There you go.
Yay! Okay, I have a poem, one poem for you this evening that I chose because I have a couple of strong, beautiful women here reading tonight, so this is in tribute to them. She is standing still. Snow on my mountain, so vast I feel small in her embrace. So vast yet so near, I think I can touch her. Reaching out my hand, I come nowhere near her icy peak. So vast, so old, I feel young and ignorant in her presence. Straining my eyes, I see bald eagles in her treetops and dull sheep on her slopes. A glowing white siren, I walk towards her, call. Laboring to reach her heights, I breathe deep her frosty breath, searing my lungs, clutching for handholds, digging toes into crevices, slipping and pulling myself up against her frozen embrace. Ridgetop winds whisper a warning of folly for the foolish who linger too long in her presence. Sliding back to earth, red-faced from her kiss, I stare in awe at snow on my mountain, she who is standing still.
Thank you, Roxanne. And now I'd like a warm welcome for the person responsible for the beautiful art that you're surrounded by tonight. Please say hello to Jason Phelps.
Thank you, Chris, for having me here. So my primary art form is visual art. I wrote this poem to help me write that statement because, like I said, my primary form is the visual arts, and to write that statement, I had to go somewhere else. I didn't know, so I just started writing something, and I came up with this. So that my art show is called Precipice. I'll have an artist talk on Thursday the 29th, and for my show, Precipice, I wrote this poem called A Poem for Precipice. I had fallen, I feared, into a chasm, a tireless expanse without reason, without gold, no cup to hold to the sky for heaven to fill. But the wandering sun was my alchemy, my faith to peer into the night. Where I found false fires blazed, illuminating every facade I now called home. How their light warded off ancient fear and anxiety we call forgetting. But remembering is why, like lace, like a butterfly, like a knife, so delicate, so intentional, I did not quit, I did not waver, to false idols, to voices with no past, no instinct, no deliverance. Precipice. There was comfort in the warmth the jackal brought me in the night, piercing drums with insanity, with instinct to deliver a song, a hope. that tomorrow's sun could fill my cupped hands with courage to wander over the precipice where towers held many secrets only told to spirits of a feather in the wind to the earth with the clue as they fell softly. I collected those charms. I gathered many in all their beautiful forms and all their mystical algorithms given to me from beyond the edge so that I may summon something real. I'd like to thank you, bone and feather, shell, and soil. You gave me courage to build my tower to reach the orbit of the light, golden.
Yeah. So if you're like me and you're really curious about the artistic process, then come back on the 29th and you can ask Jason a few questions about how he achieved all of this. Thank you for coming tonight, Jason. I'm really glad that you came.
What time on the 29th?
Oh, actually, I don't remember. Jason, do you remember what time we said we were going to begin on the 29th?
I don't. Maybe 6 is what I'm thinking.
It's probably around then, but you can check on Facebook. There's a Facebook event for that event. So thank you very much for coming tonight. And next we're going to hear from John Stevens. Come on up, John.
I've also been in Chris's class, so.
Oh, there you go.
I'm from across the river.
There's a class across the river.
Class across the river. That other town over there, you know?
Gresham. Gresham fans, I think.
It's important to understand where you stand in the political universe, the spectrum. Slightly to the right of Trotsky. Slightly. Slightly, just slightly. Slightly. While walking in the park, People's Republic of Portland, runners, joggers, fast walkers sing out. On your left, constant reminder, no matter how liberal might think myself, many, so many are more so. Three prophets walk into a polling place. Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha. How did they register or vote? Needing to show plastic laminate ID card to old lady at table after waiting 2 hours? Could they have just said, Son of God, messenger for Allah, the enlightened one? Gotten quick confirmation, checks next to their name. There in the booth, little striped shower curtain pulled tight, knowing souls of candidates all. Do they forgive and just pull the lever? Breakfast with Grandpa. Big old stinking bear was at breakfast, growling, head in paper. Little me, cereal in bowl, shaggy bathrobe, wild hair, grizzled beard, some part of some other meal dried on robe. Bellows to Mama Bear, more coffee. Finally noticed, eyed suspiciously, sit down, a grunt command. Ever so careful, I sit down, look only at Lucky Charms, pink and green and white. Paper held high, grunts and guttural moans rise from behind the paper. Wild howls of pain, beast caught in some awful steel trap, teared into bone and muscle. I can read the headline on the front page, Trump wins big. Bear chewing, fat and gristle and fur of bunny, head buried deep in pear, slowly looks up. Want some funnies? No. What does Trump wins big mean? Finally, a non-political one. Next adventure. Did you ever want to dip your toe into a black hole? I would like to dip my toe into that cool pool of a black hole, just to test the waters. Standing on the event horizon looking in, I see nothing, of course. Black holes are like that, not letting light escape. Does make for mystery. What is it like down there? What they call the singularity. What is beyond? And me wanting, well, considering, pondering. Yet if you dip that toe, will you get sucked in? Could you ever go back? What's true? What would be there? Would time allow a look backward ever again? Would there mean anything? Maybe the dazzle will be such that the next, whatever the next is so glorious, most wonderful, perfect, so overwhelming, so enticing, so consuming of all attention, that what was just isn't. Or perhaps not. Perhaps time would just slow, ever so close to a stop. Density increase, me squished to smaller than small. Nothingness wins. And yet I ponder, I consider dipping my toe. Did you ever want to dip your toe into a black hole?
Next we have Karen Reed.
Hello. I thought it would be a really fun and fitting tribute to our featured readers to reprise one of my favorite poems written by another ghost town writer. I really love this poem, and I think it's sort of in conversation with some of your work that I've heard before. So that's why I brought it, and that's why I asked Morgan Hutchinson if I could read it. Pedestrians. We are pedestrians, peddling metals, producing narratives, pursuing each other's presence, testing each other's patience. We hold each other to the sky. We hold ourselves to the ground. We hold the land hostage. We are pedestrians, promising promotions, passer-buyers, buying everything, only to store it, to secure it, to give it away, to make things. Walking people, purchasing everything, compulsory selections, empty lessons. We are pedestrians, watching the world go by, watching the plastics thrive and oil spill on the concrete we pour, on the asphalt that splits heads or supports soles of shoes. Pedestrians, soul searchers, time wasters, eternal learners, maiming the dirt, claiming each square of planet, to watch the sunrise from the front porch, to store more behind us, to store more within us. We are pedestrians, pursuing each other, pursuing soft, leveled ground, pursuing a steady stance and head balance, pursuing a transition, a person to listen, an unfolding permission to stroll freely. And that is Pedestrian. Thank you, Morgan. And then here's just a little stretch of a poem I wrote in Christopher's class, which starts on the 19th. It's Mondays from 6 to 8:30, best couple hours you will spend all week. This poem is called Jackson. Wings on a dormouse, plus glam, crest to the sky, snap, shake, fluff, feather and down. Turn around. Platinum baby, past lover, 2 lives back. Not even friends now, because I can't fly. But then again, neither can you.
Thanks, Karen. Good to have you back. Please say hello to the man himself, the poet of steel, Mike G.
Happy birthday, Chris. Was it yesterday? And others of you heard Steve Martin has had a birthday today, and others have had birthdays, and I guess we all have a birthday at some point. Otherwise, we wouldn't be humans or poets. How cool! Look at all these people who've shown up to support this brave and difficult and so often unsung and unregarded by the culture thing that we do. That's great. This is my little off-the-wall tribute poem to Tiffany and Lori. Very exciting. They both have new work up here, and we'll hear from them, but this is for them. The 10-year-old neighbor girl says the 21st century ain't so new no more. And once again, we got no poets to vote for. Donnie T is a sociopathic monster, and Crooked Hillary wouldn't know the truth if it fucked her. As we wander toward the wild September days while the end-time men wrap their cocks in the flags of ancestors, and a third of the stars bleed down the dome and the pyramids crumble, I'll meet you in that cave in Idaho, the one that only you and I know, where the hearts beat slow and eternity blows through brains in the lazy summer craze. In anguish away, a cup that's empty, a long time's crawl to the pawn shop. I breakfast with photos from the 1990s and the letters I can no longer read without the waitress getting worried. Won't be home for Christmas or ever. Home is a poem amuck in the mind of one sickened theme and no wake. Oxygen is the exhaust from the machines that cut down the giant trees. Little directional arrows and lines crossed out in my mind. I'm done sacrificing me for the peace beyond me. I've got a shield against the web's unconscious pathologies. No deity, no pawn, just a scribe writing a song for the menstruation of dawn on loneliness lawn. And it's okay that you're gone. I'm moving on to the next dramatic stanza, the next empty bed, straddling the lightning in my head, murdering memory to father the next. There go the 1970s down the toilet, and 10-year-old Laura to California. The Michigan snow, a boy's bleakness and rage turned light in defiance. I did not will this abyss of ignorance, nor the economic model of happiness, profit over people, which I wish to dismantle. Thank you for coming to Lion King. Enjoy your circles of life, everybody. Enjoy your little circles. I most definitely will enjoy mine. And when the anguishment comes, I'm still gonna love. Peanuts thrown through my ranting hologram again, the holographic spittle persisting as critics go to Safeway for more. In cyber darkness a window opens, then 1,000, there is no wind, but things creep in. The Bleak Fest tequila people tip with the bloody screws from their latest facelifts. One can't fellate or negate the moon. I thought today was somewhere in June. Happy Labor Day! Jerry's kids no longer pray for televised grace, and grocery boys shake their dicks at the bankruptcy of everything. Why are those men walking around in circles, Mommy? They're trying to decide what to do next with their lives, dear. When they gonna figure it out? Most never will. Will I be walking around in circles someday trying to figure out what to do with my life, Mommy? Probably. Would you surprise me if you started walking around in circles today? I'm 10 years old. Better get started, honey. The economy ain't too kind to late bloomers. She pointed the remote at my crotch like she wanted to turn it off. Meanwhile, sometimes I wonder why Stephen Hawking continues to use that 1978 speak and spell voice. I think it is because he likes it, the 10-year-old neighbor girl says. Active attackers make me nervous. Passive attackers only, please. I think trophies should only go to the dead. Like Matilda Smith, 1847 to 1848. Good job, good effort, 1 year of suffering. Or Ezekiel Johnson, 1967 to 1972. A 5-year delightful romp of suffering, 2.5 stars. I love the human sufferer in me, not my own mental illness.
Whenever you see flags wrapped in cocks or otherwise, you see phoniness like the Olympics. So much depends on doing one's best to seem sane. You're self-absorbed, she said. Who else would I be absorbed by, I say? The Borg, she says. The Borg. Just like a book, I'm held together by a spine. All of my writing can be explained by the fact that I'm shooting blanks. I fuck the language field and make poem babies. Lion King is chiefly a celebration of Illuminati bloodlines. I keep rooting for a poacher to take out Simba as he sings astride an elephant. I just can't wait to be king. That's my Lion King revision, motherfucker. Girls to the left, boys to the right, turn out the light and scatter. When it's dark, it doesn't matter. Clive Barker says, true joy is profound remembering, and true grief the same. As poets, be prepared for a lifetime of this shit, or do something happy. Sometimes at 3 in the morning, I walk around quietly touching things and saying thank you to each for being in the world with me, especially the cheeseburger wrapper for not leaving me yet. Easy there, Socrates, that boy's 16. We're left with desperate attempts at adaptation. It starts with a cadence in the mind, then I snatch from the language field a first line. If there's a theme, it's suffering. Mine. Meanwhile, the crowd cheers and admires the violence. As always, I'm just happy that some of my poems maintain their calm even in the upheaval. I don't trust fully life's adepts, the 10-year-old neighbor girl says. I love someone more once they've lost or failed at something. That explains your love for me. Meanwhile, the New York Times says, caught in the rising waters of the Brahmaputra River in late June, Ganesh the elephant tried repeatedly to climb ashore in India, but villagers drove him back into the water, in some case pelting him with stones. As the elephant weakened, the sight took on the festive feeling of a village fair. Mothers held up their children for a better view, and vendors sold snacks. Every poet I love is that poor fucking elephant. Do you smoke? I say to the trainee. No, she says. When I started, 23 ushers smoked. Only 3 of us remain. That many quit, she says? That's great. They passed away, I say. I'm still hugging the one forbidden tree. Her name is Believe Nothing. We're both lonely. Princess the Chihuahua loves flowers and flies. Do not feed hallucinogens to the alligators. Don't ask why you have wings, just shrug and fly. They say that even during sex I suffer. They say that placenta is very nourishing, but I'd rather have peanut butter and jelly. Never Trump, you say. Never placenta, I say. If the onion were a zombie, I'd let her eat me, which reminds me my new chapbook will be called Me. There are many moments of madness in a life. It doesn't mean the person's crazy, it just means they've had moments. I love the drummer's spawn. People with dark senses of humor have a higher chance of suffering from dementia, the article says. I want a video of all the times we've cried from happiness, age 11, 19, and 2 weeks ago. Meanwhile, I got the Asian Reporter headline poem blues. Insect poop threatens to damage the Taj Mahal. Indonesia's gonna dip the genitals of rapists in chemicals. Mud-splattered Filipinos pray to saint for blessing and woes. A China city holds dog meat eating festival despite protests. Old man of Japan, Ichiro, is still trying to hit a baseball, the poor fuck. Chinese online loan sharks demand nude photos as collateral from cash-strapped female college students, and a cute little baby pig with warts was born at the Oregon Zoo. In other good news, only 6% of those rescued in the act of suicide successfully kill themselves later. In other good news, processing heartbreak is a useful thing to do. Hey baby, Sharknado 5 is on! Noon comes, nicotine stained and 90 degrees. Sometimes I wish Bigfoot would have never had sex with the alien so that none of us would be here to suffer, the 10-year-old neighbor girl says. I like mixing gallows jokes into the sermon of being, haunted by the loss of magic and the orgasmic wince that hints at eternity. Brenda says to Princess the Chihuahua, if Daddy gets me pregnant, he's going to Alaska and I'm going to California. My eyes are like the sticky red wine spilled on the table a week ago. Never a apologize for not having been tortured yet, the 10-year-old neighbor girl says. Not yet tortured. Privilege doesn't make you a bad person. Sometimes a lifetime of profound remembering cripples. When I was 5, I used to play peekaboo with my babysitter's nipples. Vote with me, Giant Meteor 2016, end it already. Thanks.